This is a video for creating a dome shape or form. This is kind of a method that I use for creating different design domes. So let's get started. I like to organize things by creating different layers for all the steps, just in case I want to go back and change anything. But I also wanted to share with you that I like to put a scale person into the drawing before I get started, just to get an idea of how big the dome's going to be, depending on the person, depending on the scale of a person. It just really helps. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to create a new layer here, call it geometry, and we'll make a circle, make it start at 0, 0, 0. It just helps because all the C-planes in the different views are going to be aligned if you start at 0, 0, 0. Let's make it a 15-foot radius circle, and to give us an idea of how tall it's going to be, so that's going to be a 30-foot diameter. And to get an idea of how tall it's going to be, we could just hold Control and bring this up just to see how big you want to make it. You can also give it an exact height. So I like to hit Control or Alt and then click on the arrow, type 25 feet, and that's how tall we can make the dome. So let's create the plane that we're going to draw the profile of the dome. Let's make a line at 0, 0, 0. I like to use polylines. Go here and then extrude curve. You want to extrude that the 25 feet. Or you can either use this as a guide to snap to it, or you could use the exact dimension. Once you have that, then let's go to the side view. Now we have this side view. Zoom all extents. Now we see that this is the view that we're looking at here on the side view. If you don't have project selected, go ahead and click on project. That way everything you draw is going to be on this construction plane, which here in Rhino is the C plane. Let's go here, interpolate points. Yep, that's the one you want to use. That way every single place you click is where you want the line to pass through. There's another one called control point curve, which is the control point. That's a control point, so it'll average between the points. So let me go back to interpolate points. Let's go here. Interesting shape. Okay, that kind of works. So now you have that shape on that plane. You can go ahead and delete that. And actually, as you can see, we actually do it outside of that. So let's scale one dimension. That's just a little mistake I made. Make it here, scale in one dimension, and just go vertical. You can go scale in one direction. So if you go from here to here, 25 feet, now we have what I meant to do the whole time, which is draw that profile line here. Okay, you can go ahead and delete that. Now we can go to the dome shape. So let's make a new layer called dome and make it turquoise. Okay, so let's the command to make this rotate around that's called sweep 1. which means that you have one rail. This is called the rail, which it's going to go around, and this is the cross-section curve, which we drew. And it's going to give you different options, which you can hit OK if that's exactly what you want. But if you want to play around with it, there's an option called Record History. If you hit that and you hit OK, now this curve that you had drawn before, you can move it around, and it'll move around with the form. You'll be able to update the form basically live and on the spot. But since we know that that's exactly what we want, we'll just leave it at that, and we'll go ahead and yeah, that's kind of the shape and the form that you want. If that's a shape that you want, that's one method that I use for designing domes. You can actually get pretty crazy once you start going into the control points. If you hit F10, you can see it almost looks like a hat now, like a king's hat. So yeah, there's many ways of creating the shape. Now if we want to go ahead and develop this, that's the next step. So we can go ahead and hide that geometry and go into dividing it. So let's do that. Let's subdivide, go to shaded, subdivide this curve. So divide this curve. Let's divide it 8 times like we did on another video. And the bottom, we create another layer that's going to cut this dome into the segments. So this is called the planes. So what I like to do is, we already have that base geometry, so we copy that object to that layer, because right now it's under the geometry layer. We go ahead, hide that, select that curve that we just copied to planes, and type in Planar Surface. That's going to create a plane at the bottom where that circle was. What you want to do is copy those vertically where those points are. So let's do that. Let's make sure we only have points selected, and we do copy, select the option here, vertical. So it's only going to go vertical. It doesn't matter if you move left and right, it's only vertical. So there we go. Now we can hide the points, and now we have the dome and the planes. Make a new layer called Dome Curves. Dome curve. Okay. And what we want to do is select the option of, it's called intersect two sets. What it does is, whatever's intersecting this and the other ones is going to create a curve. First set, that's the first set. Second set, that's the second set. And what you see here is you have the shape of the dome. Now let's triangulate it by dividing it. So now let's take this, type in points. This is called points 3D, or 3D points. And let's make sure that, let's bring that geometry back and put that a point right at the top. Now lock the scale person, select that, divide all those. How many times? Let's do it 24 times. So what it did is it divided all those 24 times. Okay, so now let's take this, let's take that, let's take the alternating one. So that one, that one, that one, and that one, and let's rotate them half of this distance. So let's do that. Rotate, project, so nothing moves except for in that dimension. Hit middle. You just basically want to rotate it to the middle. Oh, you don't want to copy, so copy no. Then you take from here to here. Now that all of those are rotated, you can delete the guide and look here. You have that triangulated design. Let's go ahead and do the 3D curves. Make them a different color. Let's make them green, just so they're bright. So let's do that. Make sure that only the points are on. 1, 2, 3. Close. And do the same thing all the way around. Zigzag up. Okay, that looks about right. Now we can go ahead and create the block. Select, oh, what happened here? Oh no, that's right. So you can select those objects. Under this block, you can create a block. The bottom right here. Call it plane 3D planes. Put 1. That way you can take this and rotate it all the way around. By hitting project, rotate, go to the end points now. Make sure you copy it. When I go a little fast, that's when I tend to make more mistakes, so let's take our time. Okay, now you'll see that we have the geometry. That's a pretty cool design in my opinion, but now we have the block, which we can go in here, make a new layer called glass, we make another layer called pipes, and so we can go ahead and with glass, which we'll make cyan, we'll go planar surface. And if you select those objects, and you join them, it makes it into one continuous plane, which is good because it's gonna allow the materials to kind of work as one in that object. And then we can go ahead and select the curves here. You can explode them, so there's single objects, and you can select the duplicates, which are going to be the ones in between. Those are going to be copied. And if you go ahead and select those curves and you make your layer pipes, and you type in pipe, you can make it let's make it a radius of 1 inch, the pipes. And so once you have that, you should have a completed design, which sometimes it has a hard time refreshing. There we go, it's a pretty cool design. And if we go to wireframe, we'll see the person there. Let's go to ghosted. And if I were to try to render this, it would be fairly easy. If I just use a little bit of metal, I like to go to the bottom here, steel polished, glass, coated blue, and then we'll create a ground. So with the ground, I like to do bounding box, explode the bounding box, leave the bottom plane, and that becomes a ground. Just so I know that that's exactly the plane that it sits on, the bottom part of the structure. And should be fairly simple to go in here and apply the materials from V-Ray. You can do this with the Rhino materials also. So now that we're doing glass, we'll go coated blue, and the pipes, silver polished, and we'll do the same thing for the ground. Let's do silver polished. That tends to work pretty good. Oh. And if we go to the options again, let's go to medium quality, let's go output, match the viewport, and I have a few environments that I have. I like to use this one. You can choose your own. This one works for me. And let's take a look at what we have here. If we fill in the frame, looks pretty good.